Let's talk today about hobbies, why I think they're important. I'm 47 and I'm out of work, but I'm considering retirement. And by retirement, I mean not going back to a 9-to-5 grind job. Now that entails a lot because I need to financially support myself, so I guess there's probably a hobby in there and trying to find a way to monetize my hobbies, like this, for example, this channel. But to be a bit more serious about it, I've had a couple of messages recently from people who've watched some of the more recent videos and they've said, look, I'm an early retiree, or I'm about to come to retirement and I've watched your videos and I found them informative, inspiring, whatever wording you want to use in these, and thanks for that, I appreciate it. But I wanted to talk today about why I think it's important making sure that you've got something to do. And the reason I say that is because nobody wants to just finish from work and then be sitting around, right? Because maybe your partner's still at work or friends are still in employment and suddenly you're just sitting around twiddling your thumbs, right? So I wanted to talk about hobbies and what you would define as a hobby over the years. And for me, I had a running joke with my father for many years about hobbies. Oh, I'm going to have to go and feed the swans. Hold on. I need to feed the swans. Look. Hello, you two. Good morning. I know. Hey, yourself. Sorry, interrupted by the geese and the swans and the babies. Little baby ducklings, or whatever they're called when they're geese. Back to the hobbies conversation. So, got me thinking, and it took me back to my youth. Unfortunately, I did grow up in a household where my father encouraged me to get involved, but not without plenty of stick mixed into it all as well. And I can remember my first ever early hobbies, memories that stuck with me. First one was, I was really into like slot car racing, like Scalextrics essentially when I was a kid. I had a bit of a Scalextric set, and then eventually I kind of grew out of it a little bit, so it got put back in the box and went in a cupboard. I'll come back to that in a second. But then as I got a little bit older, when I was in my kind of 11, 12 era, I started taking karate lessons. It would definitely be around the time of the Karate Kid movie, right? I was inspired by the film, so I did a couple of years worth of karate lessons. The reason I mention those two is because whatever came after that, for the rest of my life, till my dad passed last year, he would still say to me when I was doing something, oh, I've started looking at this, or I'm learning that. Oh, aye. It'll just end up in the loft with the Scalextric set and the karate suit. So like 30 plus years later, having done those hobbies, my dad still had the mindset to give me jip about it. So it lives with me that. It's funny because I think about it all the time, the karate suit and the Scalextric set up the loft. They weren't there, by the way, when I went up the loft to actually empty it out, but things like skateboards and little toy car sets and things, they were actually still in my dad's loft, funnily enough. But back to the hobby situation. As I grew up, I got into music, and that love of music with a couple of mates taught me how to actually start to make music itself, dance music particularly, using things like an Atari computer and using early versions of Cubase to write dance music, which kind of then got me a little bit into the DJing side of things and the love of music and collecting records. So over the years, become an avid music fan, would often buy records, and I'll tell you where that leads. In 2017, I found myself almost at the front of a queue outside a record store in Northampton called Spun Out Records. And I was waiting there from about midnight for the next day, which would be Record Store Day, an annual event where bands would put out limited edition low run versions of their albums or past editions of albums or something exclusive for the event. And a couple of times I would go down and wait in the queue. And on one such year, 2017, I was very close to the front. I met two lads, Mark and Chris. And for all these years later, we've kept in contact. Mark, he actually works for a customer of somebody I was selling products to, so I would occasionally see him at his local branch. And Chris kept in contact with me all these years. And in fact, just in the last couple of weeks, we met up and went for a coffee. And you know, this circles back to the friendship thing. When I talk about building friendships or at least acquaintances with people, it can come out of the most bizarre circumstances. And me standing in a queue to buy records wasn't where I was expecting to make a friendship. And I know so many people wrote to me saying, I just like my quiet, or I've been let down in the past. And honestly, I understand all of that. Friendships move around, they evolve, and some will keep and some we don't. Some disappoint and some will reward. But if you're not trying in it, then it's difficult to understand how that might transpire. But to Chris, you know, he sends me news articles to cover on this channel, drops me messages, and he's always checked in with me only because we stood in a queue at a record store, chatted, and kind of became friends. So that was like a hobby that turned into a bit of a friendship along the way. Many of those kind of examples, but music has kind of led me down a lot of those paths. My ability to meet other people or find hobbies and things. And I know so many people will say, oh, but that's a very expensive hobby. Trust me, I have hobbies that friends of mine don't even know about because they're just little things that I enjoy doing. I'm on one of them right now, my daily walk routine. Mentioned before, my father was a 2 walks a day kind of a man, morning and afternoon, and he never missed it. So that encouraged me, get out, do a walk. I've been doing this for years now along this path. Feeding the geese and the swans, that's a hobby. Gives me a lot of joy, gives me a lot of pleasure. Seeing the animals, their reaction to you when they get to know you. Nice little hobby. Now, as a side to that, my father was a very keen photographer. Gave me that kind of photographer's eye over the years. What to look for, how to take a shot. So I've enjoyed cameras. I've enjoyed even the most basic of all of that. I run an Instagram page about the swans. I don't really generally tell people about this because it's just one of those things I just do, but I'll put a link here, right? This is a page where I take my little naff iPhone, I go down to the waterfront each day and I take a picture and I share it. And you know what's amazing? See the number of people that message me and say, oh, I needed this today, or thank you so much for sharing this. Because for many people, they might not even get access to a canal or a bit of wildlife, so you sharing it is just a little way of kind of passing on the good vibes, the feelings you get from that little hobby of yours. So, you know, you can think as big or as small as you like, but if you're a retiree, I think it's important to have this sense of purpose, whether it's golf, a bit of five-a-side football, taking pictures, a bit of music, whatever it is, you need to find something that fills your time and gives you some motivation. Now, here's why I think that's important. I found the tail end of last year and everything that was going on with my own health issues and then with my father, just a really dark place. I mean, I don't mean this like the depths of darkness. I just mean that I struggled to get out of bed some days. I just didn't have the motivation. I was just feeling down in the dumps. But I'll tell you what drove me through this. See this? Starting this channel, which was a hobby to me and a way for me to share and talk about everything that's gone on and also wider topics. But having it become monetized means that it's given me this kind of way out of the 9-to-5 grind through a hobby that I love, because making films, making videos and talking about different topics each day, this is like my dream. It means I don't have to talk about people's naff products, and for a change I can just talk about whatever I like, make a little bit of money, build a little bit of a community. And so that's the dream scenario, turning a hobby into a potential revenue stream. But doing this got me out of bed each day. It made me think about, right, what can I talk about? And it took my mind away from just how difficult everything felt. And as you've probably seen, you know, now I just feel like, right, you know, I'll celebrate, will be a year tomorrow that my father passed away. And I feel in a very different place about it all now. We're having some optimism about another world beyond a 9-to-5 job that I felt was probably just quietly trying to end me with stress and everything else. So making these videos, learning about how to run a YouTube channel, learning about the ins and outs, the intricacies of a channel, learning about the marketing of your product, the product being this video, how you'll consume it, how do you wrap it up, which is thumbnails and titles, etc. It's all been a learning process. And I never sit easy on one hobby all the time. I float around. I've done road bike cycling, done that for years, absolutely loved it. Been involved in that music industry, my karate suit. I've trained mixed martial arts for a period of time. I love going to the gym. You know, there's lots of those, but what I'm not good at is doing them all equally as well at any time. I tend to find that I'm good in pockets. So starting this channel, great opportunity for me to have focus, but it's meant I've probably dropped one or two things here or there. You will have saw I sold my DJ equipment in a past video, but that was just equipment. It was just stuff. It didn't consume the hobby. Still enjoy listening to the music stuff. And then as I've shared recently, I started another YouTube channel called Still Tones. And I did that just because I would come out on these walks with my father. We would sit on a park bench. We'd enjoy a good chat together. And so now I have this channel where I make ambient chill music for moments when I want to focus, when I'm working on a video or I'm doing something and I just need some calming tones. So I wrote the calming tones and I've now posted a new video today. And I wrote the concept of excuse me, dry mouth. I wrote the concept of the channel, I did the artwork for it, created the title of it all, and then I put it all together in a little package. And now I manage it moving forward. So it's just another hobby that sprung out of an idea. But you have to have something to take up your time and your day. Otherwise, you will go insane with the boredom. All right, let me know down in the comments, what kind of things are you getting up to? What are your hobbies? What do you enjoy doing? I'd love to hear from you and compare, and maybe you can inspire me to pick up something new for this year as well, because I'm always on the lookout for new ideas, new things I could try my hand to. So when I talked about the park bench and my father and Still Tones, you know, we would come and see these park benches, something like this, and we would just have a little sit. This one here is a little memorial to somebody's mum, rather nice. And so my father and I would sit here, we'd have a little chat about what was going on. And so when I make the Still Tones videos and you see the bench in a different location, that's what it was for. Let me know down in the comments, I'd love to hear from you. Have a great day, and if your hobby is just going outside for a walk, enjoy it, because it's a beautiful day. See you in the next video.